Elementor 3.2 for the Pro version just dropped a few hours ago, and in this video I'm going to walk you through the three main exciting features that have been added with this latest update, and they are pretty cool. So first things first is we now have access to the PayPal button. That's right, we no longer have to install plugins from third-party developers just to have a PayPal button on our site. It now comes with Elementor Pro, and of course you will find it in the Pro section. It's going to be the very last element, PayPal button. Let me show you how it works. I'm going to click and drag and drop it into my section, and the cool thing about this particular button is that you actually have access to three different transaction types. You have checkout, donation, and then subscription, and then depending on which of these you choose, you'll have access to additional options for more customization. Let's go with the classic checkout. You can add your PayPal account email right here, add the item name, SKU, things like that. You can of course also customize the button, but then you have access to the additional options where you can open PayPal in a new tab. You can add a redirect after the user has successfully paid with PayPal to maybe like a very special thank you page, things like that. You have the link right there. You can also enable the sandbox environment if you want to test payments with PayPal. You simply enable that and then you add your sandbox email account. So what happens is when they click on the PayPal button, they will be redirected to PayPal where they will then complete the payment. The actual payment process itself doesn't occur directly on your website, but it's a pretty cool new feature. We now have access to the PayPal button. And the second new feature right now is something called submissions. If you go to your back end, right under settings, you will see this new link here called submissions. Now, what this is that it basically stores the contact details of people who use our contact form. Let me show you how it works. I'm going to go back to the backend right here, and let me use the contact form right here, the form element. I'm going to drop that in there. And the thing is, if you go over to your actions after submit, you will now see the add action collect submissions. It's enabled by default, but of course you can choose to disable it if you're not interested. So let me show you how it actually works. I'm going to go ahead now and update this. Okay, and I'm going to go over to a different browser. Let me refresh the page and let me attempt to send a message. So my name here is going to be Zach Schneider. My email address is zachschneider@justiceleague.com, and I'm gonna say, hey, the Schneider cut comes out today. If you're into Marvel, DC Comics, things like that, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm gonna go ahead now and send this message. So let me show you how or what actually happens. I'm gonna go over to my back end right now, and if I refresh this page for the submissions, you will now see we now have Zach Schneider's email address, the form, the page, and so on. I can go ahead now and view the details. I have his name, his email, and also his message. So you no longer have to go to your email account or ActiveCampaign or MailChimp or whatever contact form service provider you're using. Everything right now is stored in your backend under the submissions tab, and it just makes things so much more convenient for you, and it's a pretty neat feature. The third and final feature right here is a pretty cool one, and it involves columns. Let me show you. I've prepared this page, just a sample page, just to show you what I'm talking about. And what I've got right here is a very large section. I have made the minimum height to be 1440 pixels just to demonstrate exactly what I'm going to show you. And I've got three columns. The difference though is that the column in the middle, I actually used the inner section element. And you know, by default, when you use the inner section element, it creates two columns. What I did was I deleted one of the columns and kept the other one. I've also deliberately made the height of this section right here, or this column, pretty tall. It's 11,102 pixels, and then the vertical align is set at the top, while the vertical align for the content in the other two columns is set in the middle. This is just to demonstrate what I'm going to show you. Okay, right now, by default, of course, if I scroll down, nothing happens, right? However, if I go over to this inner section and I go to the advanced tab, I go to motion effects, and I make this one sticky. If I scroll down right now, you can see that nothing still, oh, sorry, I forgot to change something. If I scroll down, you can see that it sticks to the top, okay? However, the problem right here is that even once we've scrolled past the section holding this sticky element, it's still sticky at the top. You can see, right? It's not exactly the best kind of design. So what happens right now is that we have a new feature called Stay in Column, where what will happen is that the element will remain sticky just as long as we're still within the viewport of the column holding that element. Let me show what I'm talking about. I'm going to go ahead now, enable Stay in Column. However, it may not work. So what you want to do is you want to go over to the actual element itself and repeat the process. I'm going to go to the Advanced tab, go to Motion Effects, make it sticky at the top, and then right here also say Stay in Column. Now check what's going to happen, okay? I'm going to scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. You can see it's still sticky. It's still sticky. But once we have left the column holding the element, you can see right now it no longer sticks. Now it just scrolls up just like any other normal element, thanks to this Stay in Column feature. So once again, in order to actually make sure this works, what you want to do is you want to go to the inner section element, make it sticky at the top or at the bottom, depending on what your preference is, enable the Stay in Column, and then go over to the actual element itself and do the exact same thing. I've noticed that if you do one or the other, it may not work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm not exactly sure what may be going on behind the scenes, but just to be on the safe side, you want to make sure that both the inner section holding the element and then the element also both are set to sticky at the top or the bottom, and then make sure both stay in the column. Let me show you one other thing you could actually do with this new feature, and it involves animation. I'm going to go to the image itself right now, go to Motion Effects. I'm going to go over to the scrolling effects right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the horizontal scroll. Okay, we're going to say to the right, and I'm going to increase the speed right here. So right now, by default, what happens is you can see right now it's going, it's going, it's going. What happens here is that unfortunately, when you run an animation, notice Usain Bolt, he's moving, he's still moving, he's still moving. But once we get to the top where it now sticks, you can see the animation has stopped. If I keep on scrolling down, Usain Bolt, he's no longer moving, he's stuck at the top because now he's sticky. If you want the element to keep on moving, to keep on animating, what you're going to do is right here where you have the effects relative to, switch this from default to the entire page. Okay, so now if I go back, Usain Bolt, he's going for the gold medal, he's going for the gold medal. Now you can see he's sticky. We've gotten to the sticky point, but because we're still scrolling down, Usain Bolt, he's still going for that gold medal, baby. He's still going, 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 until finally we move past the section holding that sticky element. So it's a pretty cool feature. This isn't necessarily like the very best example I could come up with, but I was really excited. I wanted to show you how the whole thing works. And this would be amazing if you have like a shopping page, for example, and you have like different kinds of products, and you want one product to scroll down while the other one scrolls up, and you have like the item description. Like, the limitation here is just your imagination, really. It's a pretty neat feature, and I might eventually make like a full tutorial on how to use this different kinds of animations with all the effects, because it's really, really powerful, and it just makes your website look so much more lively and just so much more entertaining to anyone who might visit it. So that's basically it for the Elementor 3.2. 3 new features: the PayPal button, the submissions feature, and of course the stay in column feature available with the inner element. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, of course, give it a thumbs up. Share the video with anyone whom you feel might benefit from it. I'm Alex, and of course, stay safe out there. I'll talk to you next time. Cheers.